So I watched the movie The Wonder Man, the new one, the remake. Now I had interest in this movie, but wasn't a movie that I was like really excited for. I don't like the Arnold Schwarzenegger version. I've never read the book. I've heard this one's more closer to the book. I did hear the ending's different in the book though. Like it has more of a dark ending. I was intrigued in this movie at least though because of one thing, which is Agno White. I love a lot of his movies. He's a great director, and also Glenn Powell. I think he's a great actor, and I'm always interested or excited to see him in a movie. So those were the two reasons that made me intrigued in this movie. Overall, I think this movie is just mediocre. Personally, I think it's okay. Like I want to watch this over the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, but this is just kind of a middle road generic ass movie to me. Let me start with the positives. I think Glenn Powell is good in this movie. I wouldn't say he's great. And the reason I can't say he's great is because I did feel like when he came to the moments of his character trying to like show he's an angry type character and yeah, and he's like has a loose cannon where he gets angry very easily. I feel like he overdid it in certain moments in this movie with that part of the character. But overall, I do think he's good in this movie. Like I did like his character. I just felt like there was times with the his character being angry where I felt like he overdid it a little too much. So I to me his performance wasn't great in the movie. There was just times where I was like, okay, I feel like you're overdoing it with how angry your character gets at times in this movie. I was like, this is like overdoing it. So it's not one of my like to me, it's not one of his best performances. I wouldn't put this up as one of my favorite performances from Glenn Powell. Overall, though, I do think he's good in the movie. It's just I think when his character is acting angry at some points in this movie, which is pretty much the big thing about his character, I felt like he was just overdoing it at some points in the movie. Overall, like I said, I still think he's good in the movie. Another, I would say, positive thing about this movie is that I think the movie looks great. There's some fun enough action in this movie. There's moments where I was like, okay, the Aston's fun. It doesn't stand out though, which I'll get into the negatives about that. Where the Aston is, it's fun enough. You can have some fun with some of the Aston scenes in this movie, but it's not like the Aston stands out. When it comes to the rest of the cast, I think Josh Brolin as the producer of the Running Man, he's fine in this movie. He's playing like generic. His character's just very generic to me. His character is kind of like generic bad guy to me. He's not. There's not a whole lot to his character, and I've seen this type of character done before. I mean, the only reason I say he's even fine in this movie because it's Josh Brolin. It's just he's playing like generic producer, evil corporation guy that I've seen this type of role done before. So it's just the role is just kind of generic in my opinion. The actor who played the host of the One Man Show in the movie was in that movie Sing Sing. It's a great movie. Go check that out. Coleman, I might want to try to pronounce the last name because I'm bad with names. As Bobby T, the host of the One Man Show. To me, he was the standout in my opinion in this movie. I think when he's on screen, that to me, he just brings so much energy and fun to the movie. To me, he was a standout in the movie, in my opinion. I think he was great in the movie. Michael Cena, I think he's really funny in the movie with the one scene he has in the movie where he's only in the movie a little bit, like towards the middle third act, and I think his character's really fun in that one scene in the movie. And like I said, there's some fun enough action in the movie. There's there's moments where it gets really dark where I thought the story was a little interesting, and there's like elements of the story that I thought was interesting. The negatives with this movie, though, is that the tone is all over the place with this movie. This is one of the big problems I have with this movie is that there's times where this movie gets very heavy and dark, and there's times where it gets so goofy and silly to me, where I just felt like it didn't have a balance towards its tone. It just felt so like it felt like it was going back between the two tones, and it can't. This movie felt like it couldn't decide what tone it wanted to be. it just felt like, okay, we're going back between two different tones here, and it doesn't feel like it, to me, it didn't feel like it was gelling together. It felt like you couldn't decide what tone you want this movie to be. There's times where this movie's trying to be heavy and dark, and it's dealing with a serious subject. And there's other times where this movie's very goofy and over the top, like this stuff with Michael Cena's character, where it feels like it's from a different movie. And so it just feels like this movie's fighting with itself for the tone, where it just can't pick a tone to be. So that's one of the problems I have with this movie was the tone of the movie. And like I said with Glenn Powell, I liked him in this movie. He's good. At the same time, though, I felt like when it came to the scenes where he's trying to act angry, like I said, he overdoes it at certain moments in this movie. Which is why I can't say his performance was great in this movie. And also the problem I have with his character in this movie, there's not a whole lot to his character. Like I like his character. At the same time, I didn't love his character because of the fact that the only thing that really defines his character in this movie is that he gets angry a lot, and that's really all there is to his character. There's not a whole lot of depth there outside of that element of his character. And even the setup at the beginning with the family, with him and his wife and his kid, where he decides to join the one man to get medicine for his kid. I feel like you don't get enough time in the beginning of the movie to get you invested in that. And also the actress who played Glenn Powell's character, the one man, his character's wife in the movie. I felt like the brief stuff we get between them in the beginning of the movie, I didn't feel any chemistry between those two actors in this movie. So that was another problem that kind of didn't really get me invested in that story for Glenn Powell's character to join the Wanted Man. So I just felt like the actress who played the main character's wife in this movie, I felt like they barely had any they just didn't have any chemistry in the movie. So I feel like the setup didn't get me as mostly attached as I wanted to because it has zero chemistry, and also because of the fact that you barely get any time with those characters at the beginning. And like I said, the tone's all over the place in this movie. It just feels like a movie that's fighting with itself between two different tones. And the problem with this movie is that this movie feels like at times a generic action movie that we've seen a million times. And and it feels like it's trying to be an Edgar White. Because one thing all about Edgar White is that when you watch the Edgar White movie, you can tell it's his movie. Like it has a unique style and tone to it. Like the Michael Cena stuff, that feels like comes that way out of an Edgar White movie. Then there's other times in this movie where it just feels very generic. It feels like a generic blockbuster action movie that I've seen a million times. So it's not just a tone for me with this movie. I feel like it's just fighting with the tone of being like heavy, dark, and lighthearted. It's also I felt like it was a movie that felt like it was fighting with the between an Edgar White movie, and a studio generic action blockbuster movie. And it just for me, it had a problem there for me where it just felt like you couldn't pick between those two either. The ending feels extremely rushed to me. The ending feels like a reshoot to me. It felt like they were like, okay, because I heard the book's ending is pretty bleak and dark. This in the movie goes for more of a happier ending with this movie, and it just to me it didn't feel earned. It just felt very rushed to me. It felt like they're doing the ending. It feels like the ending of this movie feels like it was a reshoot done in last minute. They're like, okay, we don't want to end it. We don't want to have it end on the depressing bleak note like the book. So let's end it on a more happier note. And I'm fine with that if it feels like you actually organically built up to that. Instead, the ending of this movie feels so damn rushed. It feels like you're just like rushing through the ending in this movie, and you didn't own to get to that point. And it feels like you're just trying to force a happy ending in this movie because you don't want it to be bleak like the book, from what I heard. So I had the ending to me I thought was terrible. Was there's at times where the dialogue's pretty bad. I think in this movie too. Personally, there's moments where I was like, okay, the dialogue is not very good in this movie at times. So that was another problem I had with this movie. And yeah, it's just to me the tone feels all over the place. It has a very rushed ending to me. It feels like it's trying to fight between being an Edgar White movie and a generic blockbuster just dystopian future action movie. It doesn't really do any. The action scenes I think are fun enough, but they also don't really stand out all that much in this movie to me either. And like I said, with the tone, there's at times where it feels so over the top and lighthearted, and there's other times where it's trying to be heavy and dark, and it just feels like it can't pick a tone in this movie. I like Glenn Powell, but I also felt like his character wasn't really the most compelling because the only thing to his character is that he just gets angry a lot. And the setup for the emotional stuff with his character, I felt like you didn't spend a time with that. And him and that actress who plays his wife just had no chemistry in this movie. And there's, like I said, times where the dialogue was really bad, in my opinion. So overall, I think this is an okay movie. It's a generic action movie, and as someone who's never read the book, does like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, and loves Edgar Wright as a director, I would say this is his worst movie I've seen of his, and the most generic and forgettable movie he's done. And from what I heard, the book's great, and I would say so far there hasn't really been a one-man movie I can come out saying that was really good or great. It's to me, the Arnold Schwarzenegger one I think is terrible, and this one, even though I would wow this over the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, this one's just very mediocre to me. It's not bad, but didn't really stick with me afterwards. So that's my thoughts on the Running Man 2025 remake. Until next time, movie fans.